Okay, boys and girls, Mrs. Pelletier is back again, and we have another book by Helen Lester, and this one's called Listen, Buddy. And I want you to just look at the cover, and what are you noticing about Buddy? Buddy has really large ears, huge ears, okay? But he has a problem with listening. He doesn't listen very well. So let's see, we're going to read to find out what kind of trouble he gets into because he doesn't listen very well. And that's probably why they call it Listen, Buddy. Buddy's father had a beautiful big nose. He was a great sniffer. So when you sniff, you go, he was a great sniffer. Buddy's mother had beautiful big teeth. She was a great chomper. So she chomped on food. Buddy had beautiful big ears. See how big they are? It didn't matter. So if she had beautiful big teeth, she was really good at eating and chomping food. The dad had a really beautiful big nose, so he was really good at sniffing. Even though Buddy had big ears, it didn't mean that he heard very well. When Buddy's parents sent him to the vegetable stand to get a basket of squash, he came home with a basket of wash. Look at that, laundry. So they told him to get squash, instead he got wash. When they asked him to buy 15 tomatoes, he came home with 50 potatoes. So what are you noticing about these words? Squash, wash, tomatoes, or potatoes. Do you notice that they rhyme? They sound the same at the end. So that's how Helen Lester's very clever again. She makes these funny she does funny things with words to make us laugh. Buddy's father said, "Listen, Buddy, will you please bring me a pen?" "Who?" asked Buddy. "You," said his father. "Will you please bring me a pen?" "A what?" asked Buddy. "A pen," said his father. "Will you bring me a pen?" "Sure," said Buddy. Buddy's father said, "Listen, Buddy." What did he bring him? Look carefully. Instead of a pen, he brought him a hen. He's not listening very carefully. And that's what his dad says. Listen, Buddy. Let's think about that. That's the title of our story, right? Buddy's mother said, "Listen, Buddy, will you please get me a slice of bread?" "Who?" asked Buddy. "You," said his mother. "Will you please get me a slice of bread?" "A what of what?" asked Buddy. What's Buddy doing that's making him not listen so well? He's watching television. So his mother says, "A slice of bread," said his mother. "Will you please bring me a slice of bread?" "Sure," said Buddy. Buddy's mother said, "Listen, Buddy." Why does she say, "Listen, Buddy"? And what did he bring her instead of a slice of bread? Look carefully. He took, instead of bringing her a slice of bread, he brought her a slice of her bed. He cut off the top part of her bed. Do bread and bed rhyme? Yeah. So he's really not listening. How do you think his parents are feeling? A little frustrated? Somehow Buddy's mind was always wandering too far away from those beautiful ears. His parents tried yelling, "Listen, Buddy!" And look this is what she does too. She puts all of those letters in capitals so that we know that they're shouting, "Listen, Buddy!" They tried whispering, "Listen, Buddy." Nothing worked. See, he's just kind of lying there. Now he's on his head. I think he's thinking about so many other things that he's just not listening too well. One day, Buddy got permission to go for a long hop. So instead of a long walk, bunnies hop. And when we say one day Buddy got permission, permission means they're going to let him go. So if he goes for a long hop, he's going all by himself. He had never before been allowed to go beyond the vegetable stand. Listen, Buddy. Okay, now he's got to listen carefully. His parents warned him. So they're telling him some directions. Just remember that at the end of the road there are two paths. The path to the left will lead you around the pond and back home, but the path to the right will lead you to the cave of the scruffy varmint. And that scruffy varmint has a nasty temper, so be sure to take the path to the left. Right? Asked Buddy. Left, said his parents. Right, said Buddy, and with a salute of his paw, he hopped away. So if he salutes with his paw, that means he kind of goes like this, like boop. And let's think about what a varmint is, a scruffy varmint. That might not be a familiar word to you. It's kind of an old-fashioned word, and it means some kind of an animal that causes some trouble and some problems, okay? So let's see what happens. They told him to go left. Let's see if he does it. Feeling very grown up, Bunny hopped along past the vegetable stand and on to the end of the road. Now let's see, he pondered. Was I supposed to go left or right or left? Okay, so if he says, now let's see, he pondered. What do you think that word pondered means? Talk to the person next to you. Was I supposed to go left or right? You think he's wondering. Yep, pondered means wonder. He thought as hard as he could. The last thing I said was right. So he must be right. Right he went. Now I want you to look carefully at the illustrations on this page. Are there any clues, do you think, about which way he should walk? This says left, this way. This says right. Let's see what clues Helen Lester gave in the illustrations. Well, actually, it wasn't Helen Lester. It's Lynn Munsinger. She's giving us some clues. Look at how pretty it is that way with flowers, but look at this way. Oof, there are thorns. There's an old tire, old cans. All the trees look like they're dead. So he didn't notice those clues. Let's see what happens. 25 hops later, Buddy discovered that right was wrong. There in front of his cave was the scruffy varmint doing scruffy things that varmints do, like snarling, mussing his hair, rubbing dirt on his knees, and scratching a whole lot of itches. At his feet was a large soup pot. So see, he's scruffy. What do you think scruffy means? See, his fur's kind of all scruffed up. He's all dirty. Look at his shoes are broken open. He doesn't look very clean, does he? And put together. And he's messing up his hair. When it says mussing up his hair, it means he's messing it up. What are you going to do with that soup pot? Asked Buddy. What does one usually do with a soup pot? Bake pie? Replied the scruffy varmint, not too kindly. He's not very kind. I'm going to make some soup. Some what? Asked Buddy. Soup, snarled the scruffy varmint. Huh. He doesn't look very scared of him. It's kind of interesting. Buddy had forgotten his parents' warning about the scruffy varmint. He asked eagerly, "May I help?" The scruffy varmint was not fond of having company, but with help he'd have his soup sooner. So he said, "All right, Bunny Rabbit, come help me gather firewood." "Who? What?" asked Buddy. "You, firewood." Buddy eagerly hopped ahead of the scruffy varmint. Very gently he gathered a large prickly bundle, which he held out proudly. So he brought that to him. Roughly, the varmint grabbed the bundle. The bundle is the bundle of sticks there. I said firewood, not briarwood, he yelped, plucking the sharp thorns from his paws. So let's see, if you didn't know what briarwood was, can you take a guess? Look at that. Firewood would be wood for the fire that would be a little bit smoother. Briarwood has little thorns in it. Why do you think that he wouldn't want that? Those hurt when they stick in you. Sometimes roses have little thorns. Briarwood it's got thorns in it. Later, when the pot was filled with water, the scruffy varmint lay against a rock, licking his paws and barking orders. Hustle, Bunny Rabbit, get the flour. Yes, sir, said Buddy. Do you think he meant that kind of flour or flour that you bake with? Well, he got this kind of flour. 5 pinches of salt. Yes, sir, said Buddy. So I think he meant pinches are like just a little pinch of salt that you grab with your fingers and you throw it in, just a tiny bit. Buddy thought he said 5 inches of salt, so he measured 5 inches. And then he says, 15 tomatoes. Yes, sir, said Buddy. What does Buddy get? Instead of tomatoes, he gets potatoes. That Helen Lester's funny. And a big load of squash. Yes, sir, said Buddy. The scruffy varmint rose and gave the soup a stir. So instead of squash, what did he bring him? Wash. He took a taste. It tasted a little like, well, maybe it needed some pepper. Bunny Rabbit, get the pepper from the left side of the kitchen sink, the varmint growled. Who get the what from the where side of the where what? Asked Buddy. He didn't understand what he asked him to do. Because look at him, he's eating, I can't believe he's eating the clothes. The scruffy varmint repeated, who get the what from the where side of the where what? Never mind. So he repeated what he said, and when he repeated it, he said it really loud. So look at what Helen Lester do. She puts it in all capital letters. He stalked into the kitchen and got the pepper himself and sprinkled it into the soup. There, he snarled. Now, Bunny Rabbit, put the soup on the fire. Uh-oh. Look at what he does. Buddy put the soup in the fire. On the fire would have looked different. He would have put the whole pot right on top of it. He put the soup in it. Uh-oh. Now how do you think this varmint is going to feel? The fire went hiss. So did Scruffy Varmint. I'll teach you, he howled. I will have soup, Bunny Rabbit soup, and I know just the bunny to use, the bunny rabbit who never listens. Buddy listened. I think he hears him now. Now think to yourself, what do you think is going to happen next? Can you make a prediction? Think in your head what you think is going to happen. Now let's see what happens. He also hopped very, 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 very fast, faster than he had ever hopped in his life. He whizzed up the road past the vegetable stand and into the safety of his house. And a little later, when Buddy's parents asked him to bring a pen and a slice of bread, Bunny listened, didn't he? So again, we see, look at the back of this book, we see how she uses some techniques to make it kind of humorous, right? He didn't listen very well. What lesson do you think that she wants, well, that Buddy, what lesson do you think Buddy learned in the end of this story? he ended up giving them the right things, right? I think she wants us to know that it's really important to listen carefully, okay? That helps, right? Because he was doing what we call selective listening. It's not that he couldn't hear, his mind was elsewhere and he wasn't really paying attention. But Helen Lester does some really nice, funny things with the words, right? Like instead of him getting potatoes, he thought she said tomatoes. And instead of getting squash, he got wash. So she made those words rhyme. So these are things that you can think about when you write your own stories, okay? And his behavior does change. He got into a lot of trouble in the very beginning, didn't he? But then, thankfully, it changed, okay? So one thing that you could do while you're at home today is take a piece of paper and you can draw, on this page where he gets to the sign where it says left and right, you could draw this again and then maybe put yourself in the picture telling him which way to go. So see what I did? I drew the sign left, right, and I put pretty flowers on this side, and then I put kind of an ugly tree and the old tire on this side. And then I drew a bunny rabbit, that could be Lester, and I said, Bunny, follow the flowers, hop to the left, and I used a speech bubble. So you could do that too. Before I show you how to draw this, these are some of the things that we noticed for Listen Buddy. We noticed that she put important details in her illustrations. I think that what happens with Helen Lester and Lynn Munsinger is they have to get together and talk. They're really good partners when it comes to this because oftentimes we find that there's a lot of information in the pictures, not only in the words. So Helen and Lynn get together and they talk and make sure that what they want us to understand is in both the illustrations and in the words. She included words that rhyme. That was really funny. And then she writes stories with humor. Lots of funny parts were in this book, right? And she used capital letters to show that characters were shouting. Okay, so again, these are techniques that you could use when you're doing your own writing. If you're writing a book and you want somebody to yell, you could write it in all capital letters. That'll help your readers understand that that person or whoever's talking is talking in a really loud voice. So if you want, I'll show you how to make a bunny. And I'll make it this way. Here, we'll get a clean page. So if you look here and you look at the shapes, I just made squares, kind of. So look at the bottom. Let's start with the bottom. And then I didn't close the square if you look here. And then now, if you look at this part, there's another line. It's what we call a right angle. And then it's almost even with this part. And he has a little fur, so I'm going to do that. And then come straight down. And then look, a little line here. And then one of those arcs that we've talked about, and it goes all the way here. You can put a little smile, and then he's got some teeth, right? And we got to color in the nose. We'll give him a little eye and a little eyebrow. And then we've got his big ears, so we're going to make his ears really big, almost like a raindrop. And then a lot of times they put another one inside. And then we'll give him a fun, fuzzy tail in the back. And then if you look here, you can make him have a little leg and some arms. Okay? And then you can color it in. And then you could draw yourself and draw the background. And see, that's the other thing. I like to color in the whole background, so I put all of the grass, and then here I made it kind of dark and brown because that was the varmint side. And then I colored in the sky too, a little darker here, and then a different kind of blue on this side. Okay?